1, 2, 3, 4.
All right, welcome back to Country and Cold Cans. I'm Logan, sitting here with Trucker Andy and Kyle, and this week, very special guest that we're very excited about, Treaty Oak Revival. We have Lance and Sam with us. Welcome to the show, fellas.
How's it going, guys?
What's up, man? How's it going?
It's going pretty good, man. I guess we should ask you guys. You guys have been on tour with Co Wetzel. You just played Cary, North Carolina last week.
Yes,
How was that show, and what's it like being on tour with Co? I've been seeing some videos from the tour. It looks pretty rowdy with all the beer throwing on the front.
There's been a few videos going around out there. There's been a few shows that got a little rowdier than I think we expected them to get. But I would say, man, this whole time we've been having a blast on the road. I mean, the crowds have been awesome. People have been showing up. I mean, hanging out and just having a good time. So, I mean, from my point of view, this whole tour has been great. You know, it may get out of hand, quote unquote, a couple of times, but we rein it back in. And, we're just out there to have fun and have a good time. And, you know, sometimes people have a little bit too much to drink and, you know, it goes a little too far.
It's been cool. This is probably the longest we've ever been out, like on the road, playing this many shows consecutively. So it's definitely been a crazy experience. Also, I mean, the rooms are big. Like I feel like out of the 4 days we play a week, there's like one big one, like kind of close to the end that we play. But most of them are kind of like 7,000, 5,000 cap rooms, or like amphitheaters. So, which we're kind of used to, but like this past week, we went and played at the basketball arena for the University of South Carolina, the Gamecocks.
Yeah, the Gamecocks.
So that was like 12,000 people. So that was pretty sick.
Like that was crazy.
Yeah. Is that the biggest crowd you guys played for so far?
No, the biggest one was with Zach Bryan at the station, and that was like 40,000 people, I think.
Oh, wow.
But on this tour, that was probably the biggest show that we've done.
On the tour, that would be the biggest show that we're going to be playing on the tour with them. Yeah, I guess besides Red Rocks.
I don't know. I think Red Rocks is only. I think Red Rocks is below 10. Yeah. So, I think that'll be one of the biggest shows on tour, which is awesome. And like, it's this entire tour so far with Co and his band and crew. You know, it's been a great time. You know, just hanging out with them guys. You know, in between when we have time and after shows and things like that. It's just been, it's been a fun time. It's watching them play, seeing their crowds and how they interact. It's been a fun time to see all of it.
Oh, yeah. Is this like the first time you guys have been like out on the East Coast?
Kind of.
Yeah, pretty much. In the past, we've been up to we were in South Carolina before at Clemson. But really, this is, probably out of the 12 shows we've played,
the answer is yes.
9 to 11 of those were in brand new states. So I would say,
these are all a lot of these are all new places that we're playing now for like our first time ever. So
General thoughts on the East Coast?
I don't know, dude. I mean, it's very beautiful to look at, and like we have met some very cool people on the East Coast, but I don't know what it is. Like, but the further east you get, I feel like it's just the people there are less friendly or something.
I guess the Southern hospitality.
I can agree with that.
There is some truth to that, I guess. But outside of that, it's not to say that like they're all bad people or awful people.
No.
It's just there's a difference of that kind of like holding the door open or saying thank you or things like that.
Like for example, like we went and played in Atlantic City, and like afterwards, like we would have like fans surrounding us to take pictures, and meanwhile, like while I'm taking pictures with these dudes, like these other guys who are trying to take pictures are like, "Oh, look, you look fucking, oh, look at you taking a picture with the guy, you freaking sissy." And then, like, immediately after that, they would come and, like, take a picture with me. And they'd be like, I'm like, oh, they just, that's just how they act, like, right. On this.
It's a different than where we're used to coming from.
Same thing with, like, Massachusetts, like, the mass holes and shit like that, Like, they're kind of deep, but... We are too. I guess
it's kind of funny because like I work with a lot of people from like they're originally from the Northeast, and we've had this conversation many times. They're always like, people are like down in North Carolina, they're a lot nicer. I was like, well, here's the secret. I was like, we're really not. I was like, we just have been trained from an early age to be fake nice. Southern hospitality is just it's fake nice.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of that.
I will say this: like once we played that show in South Carolina. And when we played last night in North Carolina, I was like, man, it does kind of feel good to be back, like in the southern states, like Southeastern Conference area. And so, it feels good, man. I don't know, but you can definitely sense like an energy shift in the crowds, like a southern crowd versus more of a northern crowd. It's a different kind of energy, I feel like. That's cool.
You mentioned like SEC country, like me and Andy, at least we're ACC guys, NC State, but we got our ass kicked by Tennessee last night, and it was not fun. But so, are you? What fans are you guys from Texas?
I would probably have to say I'm a Tech fan.
Okay.
Yeah, like I didn't go to like a D1 college or anything like that, so I don't really have like an allegiance to anything. But I like watching A&M play since I went to like A&M sister school, but it's like a South Texas A&M school. So I like to watch A&M play, even though they kind of suck now, and I like watching Tech play, even though they kind of suck now.
Yeah,
but it's West Texas.
I do just enjoy watching college football, though. Yeah. I think it almost doesn't matter what teams I'm watching play, and I'm just having fun.
Yeah, most of the time, if it's a Texas team, I'll go ahead and root for them.
Yeah, pretty much.
Except for I don't like UT.
Yeah,
I was going to ask that. Yeah, that's kind of how we are with UNC Chapel Hill. Like I'll pull for most of the teams in North Carolina.
I've got like 3 people in our band who are UT fans.
Oh yeah, they would be giving us some real shit right now.
Well, pass this along from me. Horns down.
All right, I'm right there with you, buddy. Go Cox. That's what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, he's like, he's just a Gamecocks fan. I don't even know what's going on.
Oh yeah, but Pat McAfee actually he timed it up perfectly. They were picking the South Carolina game on College Game Day yesterday morning, and then he goes, "I'm just gonna say I'm taking Cox this weekend."
Yeah, there you go. Me too.
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, so go ahead. Okay. Yeah, I was gonna say, like you were talking about college football. Wow, sports gambling just got legal in North Carolina, and me and Kyle have been in on this for a little while. But Andy discovered total degen status. Discovered gambling on the live line on each drive, and his first week he won a bunch of money, and then yesterday we lost a lot because again NC State got their ass kicked. But are you guys into sports gambling at all?
Oh yeah, everyone here is addicted to some sort of gambling.
Yeah, so I found out I'm really good at never winning a parlay. I don't know how many parlay bets I've made through fucking DraftKings or whatever app I can, or Underdog, and it's like every one I've ever made, I've never won.
Yeah.
Ever. And then like I have friends who they're like, I win all the time, and so I just copy whatever bet they do, and that week they don't hit.
Yeah.
Like so I've for probably 3 to 4 years, I've never hit a parlay win ever. So don't take my sports betting advice. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, I'm a degenerate gambler, and my problem was that I never won. So yeah.
Yeah, I've learned I'm just not.
But I kept going. I kept going for a long time.
Yeah, I gave up on the sports betting, and I just went to the casinos. And that's a lot of up and down there.
Yeah, we do a lot of slot machine betting now and poker.
No, yeah.
Dude, I am not a big slot guy because every time I've tried to get into it, I've got a buddy that drives across the North Carolina-Virginia border, just go to this little place called Rosie's, and it's like he always talks about how much he wins, right? And I'm like, all right, I'm going to try it out. Well, the few times that I'll play the slots, like one, the computerized slots that it's not the traditional, like trying to match up all the settings. I don't understand what's going on. It's just like, it's like anime shooting lasers, and then there's a dragon that shows up, and I don't know if I'm winning or losing, but I keep putting money in. And I walk away losing all my money.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, I feel
he's the king
I'm
of
like
slot machines.
With slot machines, if I don't understand what's going on, like I don't want to play it. Like when the machine ends up after I click spin, I want to understand why I won or lost. Like I don't want it to all look like the same symbol, but somehow I didn't win. Like those games, I don't play anything like that. I like the simpler slot machines like you talk about, or it's like a 1 line or a 9 line. Like I love pinball and Top Dollar. Those are some of my favorite like classic machines. You know, I can talk about gambling all day.
Dude.
I love gambling. But like, no, it's like there's tons of different ways you can play. There's, you know, when it goes into slots, you have like low volatility slots, high volatility slots, medium volatility. There's a lot when it goes in. Are you looking to have fun? Are you looking to try and win? You know, it's all random, but at the same time, there's like a little bit of strategy going into it.
It's kind of funny, man. Like, some people may think we're the kind of band that like gets fucked up every night, but really, I think they have worse gambling problems than they do fucking.
Yeah, I probably have definitely a worse gambling.
Can we play at like a lot of casinos most of the time?
Yeah.
Lately, it's been
just right there.
Been stuck at the casinos. We spent like 3 days at a casino, and I was like, I gotta stop. I was like, after the first day, I was like, I can't gamble anymore. I was like, I'm done. And I was like, they took me, and I was like, I know. I'm like, I'm gonna lose all my money. I was like, I don't get paid till next Friday. I was like, I gotta wait.
Well, they've got to figure it out at these casinos because like there's no windows, so you lose track of what time it is. Like a buddy of mine had his bachelor party in Biloxi, Mississippi, of all places. And so we went down there and we went to all the casinos. Next thing I know, it was almost like 6 a.m, and I'm just like, it didn't feel like it, and I lost a decent amount of money.
Yeah. It's not fun when you're losing, but hey, man, when you are winning,
it's electric.
It is so much fun. But yeah, it's the thing. It's like that's with gambling. That's the dragon you're always chasing. And so, you know, you just got to take it. And like my philosophy is, any money you take into the casino, imagine it's already gone. Like if you brought out $200, that's not going back in your bank account. Like, you know, and if you're okay with losing that $200, then go gamble all you want. But like, if you need that $200 to pay rent or to pay your gas bill or electric bill, you know, maybe don't go to the casino.
Yeah,
you know?
I think there's a Riley Green line for that says, "Don't make a bet you can't afford to lose," and it's just true advice.
Hey, that's real advice right there. And so you know, it's like, hey, it's not fun when you lose, but if you're affording to lose it, like for me, because I'm so busy doing this half the time, the only time I get to go have fun is to go to the casino, and I'm like, that's my form of entertainment. I'm like, I'm not out here doing all this crazy stuff traveling, but I'm just like, when I have the time, this is what I like to do with a few $100.
Yeah,
it's like,
it's a very on the road thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And just because gambling isn't legal in Texas, so like, I mean, the closest place to me, I got to drive like an hour and a half.
Yeah, I live in Oklahoma now, so I got.
He's down the road from
right
casinos,
down the road.
but. Yeah, thank God I don't live close to a casino. I don't think that would be a good thing.
Every time I go to a casino, I'm always losing, and there's an elderly lady that just sits beside me and 2 or 3 pulls.
He's hitting it every time. And I don't know how it is. Everybody's grandma's won like $20,000 on a slot machine. They're like, "How much are you betting?" I was betting 25 cents, and I'm like. It's like I can't even find machines that low to bet on, and somehow you're winning more money than I've ever seen in my life on these things.
Oh yeah,
yeah. It's just that's how it is, man. It's all a bunch of up and down. But like I said, it's like, man, if you want to go gamble, do it to have fun. Don't try and go out there to make money. I'm like, it's entertainment. That's all it is, you know. And hey,
if you're doing it to have to pay rent, there's a problem.
And very much more exciting, you know.
What else y'all like to do when y'all are out on the road when you're not at the casino in your downtime?
Shoot. I don't know. We kind of just cat around the town that we're in, really. Some of us go to bars and stuff. Most of us just kind of hang back and watch movies. We'll work on music every now and then. We smoke weed.
Yeah. Watch the movies, hang out.
Pretty
you know,
it, man.
It's like we're not trying to get into anything crazy. It's like a lot of our time off, we're just trying to, you know, rest in between shows, get caught up on sleep, and you know, a lot of that's, you know, just trying to catch up, you know, with all that, and then taking care of anything else, you know, you got to be able to take care of while you're on the road for stuff back home and all that, and you know, it's just.
Yeah, we got a lot of our partying done out early on.
Yeah.
we became rock stars in reverse, I guess would be the way to see it. We got fucked up first and then did the music stuff the next.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
The
And it was-
stuff later.
yeah. But I mean, it's like, for us, it was just what we found worked better. It was like, man, yeah, you can drink and get drunk every night, but when you got to wake up the next day and drive these hours and play these shows and you got to do it 4 or 5 days in a row, it's not sustainable. You can't, you can do it for a time and you may be able to do it for a while, but like eventually it's going to catch up and it's not going to be fun whenever it does.
Yeah. And I'm a recovering alcoholic. So I've been sober for like 2 years. So I don't drink anymore or do any of that really.
No, yeah. And so
Just
it's
hang
like
out.
for us, it's like, it's like, man, be able to have fun, but we just, take it as we can. And, we'll have fun when we can afford to have some fun. But, when it's time to work, it's time to work.
Right.
And, that's just how we operate. It's like there's nothing wrong or right. However it works with any band is how it works. But we just found the way that we operate. That has been the way that we found everyone together. I mean, when you have a team of 12 plus people, continually on the road working together, you got to figure out a way to make everybody work together and get along. Because I can tell you the fact that we're able to get along as well as we do on the road is a huge blessing because of how much time we spend together. It's like, it would be horrible if I hated anyone, on this team because, that would suck because I got to see them basically half the year with them for that half the year, and so the fact that I think that we've gotten to cultivate this group of people who can all have a common goal in mind and just be able to work together the way that we're able to work together has been amazing. It's all you could ask for really, going out on the road and doing this full time is being able to have a group of people that you enjoy doing it with.
Yeah, it definitely, it's good that you guys get along like that because you always hear like horror stories about like bands in previous generations, right? Like it starts out good. And then after a couple years being on the road, it's like, it's a show when they get on the stage and then there's like, they hate each other out backstage. But so are you guys like traveling in RV now or an RV with a bus?
We got 2 RVs. Yeah, we got 2 RVs. They're not the nice Prevost star coaches. They kind of sleep how they sleep. It's but we've got 2 of those that we've been traveling in for about 6 months. We've had one about a year. We got a second one about 6 to 8 months after the first, and that alone of just having that extra space where you can stand up and walk around or having some beds and things like that for people to sleep in going down the road, I think has been a huge help just for the day-to-day. Because, waking up and sore and tired just from sleeping, ain't fun compared to, traveling on.
One of those things.
We had like a Sprinter and it's like you're sleeping in like a chair like this, trying to go to bed. And it's like, how good a sleep are you getting, And I mean, being able to upgrade to that was, that was huge. And I can't imagine. Hopefully, we're hoping we can upgrade to some actual tour buses maybe next year, but they are expensive. And so we got to figure out how to afford those first.
Yeah. I know that you guys definitely have been blowing up over the last year and a half, though, because it was funny because like my older brother's in vacation in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina right now. And I was texting him. I was like, I might actually be able to get these guys on the show here soon. And he texted me the next morning and says, just so you know, he goes, there was a group of young dudes in their 20s out on the beach blaring Treaty Oak this morning. He goes, so he's like, so they're catching on here in South Carolina. I was like, oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's
dude,
awesome.
They were fucking singing the shit out of it the day before yesterday. So.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been crazy. It's been crazy to see.
There's a lot of those 12,000 people that were also Treaty Oak fans and Waco fans.
Yeah.
So.
I'm sure it's a wild experience, like the first time like bands or fans start singing your lyrics word for word back to you.
Oh, yeah,
yes.
Absolutely. I remember like
It's crazy shit.
the first time it happened, I think it was with like No Vacancy. And we were in a room with like maybe like 150 people in New Braunfels. And for some reason, Sam just like didn't sing the words. So I think he could hear them. And it was like, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, like people know our music. Like they're not just like, oh, I know who you are. They're like, no, I like know the words to your song. Like that's crazy. Like to like hear that back on stage each night is just, to me, it's crazy.
Yeah, that No Vacancy record, man, like that was the one that we well, I think the first song we heard was Miss Call, which, you know, to this day love that song. But that No Vacancy record was one that we put on repeat for like months and months at a time. I know Kyle, the golf trip a couple years ago.
It's 2 years in a row. It's been the golf trip anthem. This year was Fishnets for me, but
yeah. But yeah, every time he got in the truck 2 years ago, it was like we would be driving somewhere. Ode to Bourbon would be the first song that played, and like some of our buddies who were sitting in the back, they were jamming with it. But after a couple of days, they were like, "Dude, you've got to pick a different song to start with."
Yeah. Oh man.
But yeah, no, it's like the one thing I've noticed, and you guys jump in with this. With any questions y'all have, but like one thing I've noticed that because like I'm like background on us with like kind of where we come from on our music perspectives, I'm a lot more into like rootsy and countryer music. I didn't really grow up listening to much. Like the hardest rock I did as a kid was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, right? Where these guys were a lot more into some like different types of rock music. But you know, I love your guys' sound because it meshes, you know, rock and roll and country almost in like a perfect sense for me. And then like the difference between No Vacancy and then, you know, Have a Nice Day, it feels like you turned up the rock just a little bit, but it's still very much Treaty Oak.
Yeah, absolutely. That's awesome to hear, man.
Yeah, I don't know. The first record was, you know, we had just gotten together, and I had written a lot of those songs. You know, Lance wrote one, which was Hometown, so that's the song that Lance wrote, and he had that one written. And we kind of just changed up the wording, and we liked the way it flowed. So we were like, all right, that's yours. And then the other ones were songs that I had just written throughout like my time spent in college, after graduating college, my time in the natural gas field when I was out there working in West Texas and Colorado and New Mexico, and wrote some other songs in Oklahoma, I think. Or no, I hadn't been in Oklahoma yet. But yeah, so that was all just 8 years worth of material, and then any last minute things that we wrote, which No Vacancy was the last track that I had written before we went and recorded the record. And so that one sounds the most different, I feel like. But it's the one song that I think sounds most like what we did in Have a Nice Day. As far as the guitar sounds and the way it's structured and everything like that. And then Have a Nice Day just came because, you know, we were listening to so much rock music at the time, and we were kind of found a sound that we like to play, which is the sound you hear now. And I just started to write towards that because that's what they like to play. That's what I like to sing. And I just love that. I love rock music, man. I'm a huge, pop punk, Midwest emo guy. I'm a big metal guy. Not a big metal guy. Mainly just pop punk, emo, metalcore, all that shit. But I'm also a very big, Texas country, Southern rock, Red Dirt guy, and I'm a big hip hop guy as well. Probably the biggest hip hop guy, if anything, out of all the things I just named. But yeah, I really like that kind of melodic, heavy, fucking raw music. And so I started writing songs that would be good lyrically and melodically to where they could play some badass. Because that's literally what I do is I'll write the lyrics and then I give them the song and I say, here's the lyrics, here's a basic melody, y'all take it and run with it. And then they come up with whatever they come up with. And I'll throw my 2 cents in there every now and then if there's something that needs to be exactly how it's supposed to be. But most of the time, I just kind of let them run with it. And it turns out badass. And we just kind of keep the formula straight that way from there.
Yeah.
And it's just it naturally happens that way. Like, we weren't trying to make a rock record, really. Like, as No Vacancy, we weren't trying to do anything with No Vacancy except get all these songs out, you know?
I mean, hell, even with No Vacancy, when we recorded that album, we didn't even know what we wanted to really even sound like.
Yeah. So that's why, like, each song almost sounds like a completely different song, or like we were trying to get some, like, a different sound in each song. And just because we didn't know what we wanted to sound like.
Right.
And I think when we did No Vacancy, that being the last song, that was kind of the song where we said that sounds the most like us.
Yeah.
And like what we're trying to go for. So then we took the sound from No Vacancy and we just expanded on that and ran with it. And that's how Have a Nice Day basically came to be. And Have a Nice Day, I think, too, was a very, like, kind of an angry record. Like, I wanted to prove that this band was not a one-time, one-hit wonder, you know? Just comes out with one project, and that's the project, you know? I wanted to say, no, we can do it again, and we can fucking make it better than the first thing that we did. Just to throw it.
Like, even in the way that you guys released everything with, you know, the first LP, and then in between Have a Nice Day and No Vacancy, you had that single that I still keep on my playlist, Stay Tuned. It's like the perfect kind of like middle track almost.
Like,
we're going to do this.
I've always kind of thought about that as well. Like, I've always kind of seen like Leaving Hell and Stay Tuned kind of as those crossover tracks in between No
like
Vacancy to Have a Nice Day.
Like the missing link type shit, you know, where you're like, we didn't know which record to put these in. They're just kind of somewhere falling in the middle, you know, which is why we didn't really put them with any particular record. You know, you could have tacked those onto the end of No Vacancy and it would have made sense. You also could have tacked them on at the beginning of Have a Nice Day and it would have made sense. So,
you guys re-recorded Haunted House for this project, didn't you?
Yeah, because we lost, or one of our drummers resigned. So we got a new drummer and we didn't want that to be the track. You know, we wanted our new drummer to be on the music that we're playing. So,
yeah. And I think even that song itself, it was like, it was done to a point of the way that we wanted it to be done. But the version that we put out on Have a Nice Day was like, this is the version that we wanted. Like, this is how we always wanted it to sound. And, you know, there were definitely some complaints whenever we took off the old version and added the new. Re-recording that song, you know, we had fans who were like, you know, hey, man, like, I like the old version better, or, you know, XYZ. And kind of my point was, you didn't like the old version better because the streaming numbers prove it. It was like that song was out for a year and a half and it never broke 1 million streams. And in like the first month that record was out, that song broke 1 million streams. And so it was like, it did more in a month on this new version than it did in a year and a half on the previous. So whether or not, you know, the fans truly did like the old version better or not, I kind of point to, I think you really didn't like the old version as much as you thought you did, because obviously you weren't streaming it or playing it. You know, but I mean, not everything, you know, every single song you're going to put out is going to be a number one or anything like that either. But at the same time too, we had a higher, you know, we kind of had a higher expectation after the fact for the song, where it was like, we kind of kept playing it live more and kind of changing things. And like, even though sometimes they were only minor changes, you know, to us, we kind of realized like, no, I think that's the way that we should have been playing it. And then, you know, that's the way we ended up cutting it. And, you know, we love that version. I mean, even now that we've been on tour, you know, we've been seeing people holding up phones asking to play Haunted House. And it's sadly, you know, when you get 45 minutes, it's hard to fit, you know, and pick, you know, even when we're deciding, like here soon, we have Happy Face releasing next Friday on the 13th of September. You know, this may be out already by the time, you know, it's out. But like, even in this mindset of, to give you a perspective of where we are getting ready as this song's about to come out, like now we've got to go in and remove a song that's in our current set list and we don't like right now, we're not sure what song to pick because like as soon as we remove a song, somebody's going to be like, well, why do you not play that song?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And, you know, it's like when you only get you know, you get half of your standard set time.
It's one of those things where if there's certain things as an artist that I feel like, you know, and it's nothing, it's not like I'm talking down or anything like that, but there's like certain things as an artist that most like your average concert goer doesn't really understand. Like the fact that if you're like in an opening position and you're like, well, why didn't you play my favorite song? And it's like, well, I only had 30 minutes. Like you don't realize how long songs are. That's like 30 minutes for us is maybe 4 or 5
songs maybe. Yeah. 5, 6 songs.
So, and you really got to pick the ones like, it's like, okay, well, if I don't play No Vacancy or I don't play Ode to Bourbon, like people are going to riot, you know, because those are the songs everyone comes
yeah.
for.
It's like, or Missed Call.
Or Missed Call.
Yeah. And it's
like I got to play those 3. So then I only got 3 slots left.
And then it's like, then we know people are like, we want In Between. We want Stop and Stare. We want how, you know, it's like,
so,
and
we try our best to pick what we think the people want. And we don't always hit everybody, but you know what they say, man, you can't please everybody. You can only do it.
So. Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what we try to do with music too. We just we do what we think sounds cool, and if you think it sounds badass, well then great. If you don't think it sounds cool, well, there's plenty of good music out there, man. You can go listen to whoever.
Does it concern you at all releasing Happy Face on Friday the 13th?
No. I mean, yeah. It's funny. Like, and if it does bad, like, it's gonna be like
we'll make a joke out of it.
Yeah, we'll make a joke out of it. But I mean, if it does great, it does great. It may suck, man. I mean, it's a very different song. It's more rock leaning. It's not the only thing really country about it is the lyrics and the fact that my hick ass is singing on it with my Texas accent.
Right.
But I mean, other than that, I mean, but that's, you know, it was one of those songs where when we wrote it and we played it together and like it all just clicked and you're like, man, this just feels right. Like I like this direction that we're going. And we just ran with it, man. And we think it sounds great. And we hope that everybody else, we hope y'all think it sounds good.
Yeah.
If you don't, I guess we'll hear about it on the podcast later.
But I mean, yeah, for us with that track, I mean, especially like when we were writing it, like the emotion behind that track was an emotion that every single person in the band was sharing at that time, which was being away. Like for this song, it's a song about being away from your family and your loved ones, you know, while we're out here on the road, playing these shows, doing this, you know, trying to make a living and provide, you know, that comes with the sacrifice of having to be away sometimes. And, you know, to us, that song Happy Face, we wrote it out on the Gulf Shores, like, you know, a couple nights before a show in Alabama. And it was in the middle of like a 2.5-3 week long stint of being away from our families. And it was just an emotion that we all connected with. And it just felt like this was who we are, you know, this is us.
Yeah, we had gotten there like on days off. And I remember we were at a restaurant and I wrote like the first line to the thing. And then by the next day, I had the whole rest of the song pretty much written, and then we worked on guitar parts that night. We pulled everything. We had our RV like parked on the sand at this freaking condominium. Underneath it. It was the wildest shit ever. We got it stuck at one point, but we had our trailer with all our gear. So like when we got the idea for the song, we just opened up the trailer and we pulled out the drum kit and set it all up, and we set all our instruments up, and we mic'd it up and we recorded a demo right there on the beach. And we also recorded some B-roll for Have a Nice Day. So we literally wrote Happy Face the day that we submitted it to be released.
Oh, wow.
Crazy, which was crazy because it's like as soon as we submitted that record to be released, we wrote that song, and I was like, that makes sense, because I'm like, this is the next record. Like, this is the next step. This is where we're going.
Yeah.
So
Is that B-roll from what was it? I'm the Worst when y'all put that on Instagram, I think.
Yeah,
when
I
we're
think it's
the
on
beach,
Instagram and TikTok and stuff. There's some stuff that kind of looks like we're on the beach, and that was that location where we wrote Happy Face. It was at the Black Pearl. That's what that house was called. And so if you see in our artwork that ship out there, that's a reference to where we were staying. So
Well, that's cool. Yeah, I haven't listened to all of it, but because it's a temptation of mine when I know there's a new unreleased YouTube grainy video from someone in the back and you hear a bunch of drunk people screaming, like somebody's put it on YouTube of Happy Face, and it's like the temptation's been there to click on it. But now that I know that it's coming out,
on TikTok, they have fallen into the temptation and they are commenting and DMing, and we're like, we're finally got time to get in the studio when we got off the road, and then it takes a little bit of time to get that mix and mastered.
Just wait till it comes out. It's gonna sound way better.
Yeah, it's like it's like definitely wait. What we have 5 more days. Basically in 5 days, literally 5 days from now, maybe 6 days from now, you'll be able to get the full version. And I think you'll appreciate it. Or at least you'll get the version of how it should sound rather than a crowd sound.
100%.
Yeah, we were just kind of winging it.
That was like our first time we ever played it live in front of a crowd.
Right.
And
I know I listened to "Have a Nice Day" on an iPhone in a concert with a speaker sounded like it was blowing out on the iPhone at least 10 times on YouTube before the album came out. And that's all you could hear, and you could barely hear you guys playing in the background.
There's plenty of those on YouTube floating around.
For a while, before we got the Have a Nice Day out, before we got that record out, we were so tired of playing covers. We just stopped playing covers and started playing the new songs from the record. And we were like, you're just going to get used to them as you hear it. And then when you hear the song, you'll know what's going on. It's like, we're just going to get there. And we did that. And I remember it was crazy. The first weekend after we released the record, we went out on the road that next weekend. And we were playing new songs. And it's like the crowd knew it. And we were like, blown away. I mean, it was. Yeah,
they knew every word. It was JJ's Live was like the first in Arkansas. Was where we played our first show after we released the record, and they knew every single word to See You in Court, and it had only been out for like 42 hours.
Yeah, it like barely had been out, not even a weekend, and it's like they were screaming. One of the songs that was like, that song's, it's like in the middle of the record, but like it was a song that we hoped people would enjoy, but we didn't think they would gravitate to it that quickly. And so
it seemed like a fun live concert song too, especially with like the opening line to it.
Oh, I wrote it to be that way. Like, I wrote it in particular. I was like, I'm gonna make them fucking yell that too. So they do every night.
Anytime you can get the crowd loves to yell the F word. I know. I always point to American Aquarium, a band from North Carolina, with like, "I hope he breaks your heart." That line, of saying right towards the end of the song, the crowd goes nuts every single time.
He breaks. Yeah. BJ Barham, man. Yeah, we played. Cary was right there, man. Right by Raleigh, right?
Yeah.
Is that where Cary is?
Yeah. Yep, right next door.
Right next door. Yeah, that's like just south.
I wore my American Aquarium shirt last night at the show.
Oh, hell yeah.
In solidarity, even though I'm wearing this fucking hat.
Even though he might not appreciate that hat. But,
I'm a panderer. I'm a low panderer, man. That's all I am.
Hey, man, you gotta be. You gotta be. I mean, whatever town you're in, you gotta play up to the crowd.
Part of the
I bought like a Chiefs jersey when we were in Kansas City, and they're like, "Did you just buy it because you were here?" And I was like, "I actually used to live here." I was like, I was a fan of the Chiefs before Pat was here. All right, I was like, "Don't worry."
Back in the Alex Smith days.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, hey, he is also from Texas Tech, which I appreciate that. But it's like, don't worry, I'm not a bandwagon completely. But it's like it's good times. I understand. I've got those feelings this year whenever the Rangers got to win the World Series. It was like, where were you back in 2010 and 2011 when we didn't win? Huh? That's what I want to know.
They were probably being Astros fans back then.
Yeah, probably because don't get me started on any of that. Actually,
but you did give my Braves Ron Washington, who helped us win a World Series. So
That's true.
We are greatly appreciative.
Shout out 2021 World Series champs, Atlanta Braves.
Hell yeah! Shout out.
How did y'all become the band known for throwing beers? How'd that get started?
We played this show. There's this bar called the Blue Light Live in Lubbock, Texas, and it's a local bar, kind of near campus, or it's off Broadway, isn't it?
It's
it's on Buddy Holly.
Yeah, it's on
Buddy Holly.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know. I'm getting my streets mixed up. But yeah. So and they Cleto Cordero from Flatland Cavalry used to play there. William Clark Green used to play there. Dalton Domino, all those guys. And us being from West Texas, that's like our place to play. Like if you want to try to play there in Lubbock, if you get the chance. And we got our opportunity to headline, and we went and played our headline show. It was our first time, and it sold out, which the Blue Light, think of now, it was only like 100, 200
like
people, 250 cap people. So that's 250 people in a room, which to us was insane.
Yeah.
And Lubbock, and they all knew our music.
Yeah.
Every single word. And the reason we figured that out was, when we started playing, we got through like 3 or 4 songs, and then I guess our system or something happened, but the power blew out in the venue.
Like the PA was dead.
was dead. It was like on the whole block.
Yeah.
So everyone was like, "Oh, like Treaty Oak just like blew out the blue light." Like
that was what came from that.
And so when that happened, they got it, but we had to wait for a little bit, and people were booing and saying like, what the fuck, yada yada, and they eventually got it back on to where the guitars and stuff could play, but we couldn't sing. Like our mics, there was no
the amps. The amps were good, and acoustic drums.
So I had to yell at them. I was like, "Hey, we can't sing. Like our mics are out." And they said, "Fuck that." They said, "We'll sing it." And so they sat there, man, and they started singing every single word, like for our entire rest of the set. It is like just like a crowd karaoke almost.
Yeah.
And then I think like at one point I just gave my guitar away, and I had a beer in my hand, and we played some song, I forget what it was, but they started slinging beer, and I had nothing but the beer in my hand, so I just started slinging beer on all of them. And then when that happened, they just kept doing it more and more and more throughout the show. Well, someone took a video of it and like tagged us in it and posted it online. And then we posted it on our page, and it got I guess it got a lot of views or something. It went kind of viral. And all of a sudden, like the next show, people started throwing beers on that one song. And I would, I'd have mine and I'd throw beers back at them because they'd get us wet. So I'd be like, well, screw y'all. I'm going to get y'all wet too. And then after a while, man, that's what people expected. And, it's been our downfall sometimes, but it's made for a lot of really, really crazy good concerts that got us a lot of attention out there in the scene. And it doesn't happen very much doesn't happen very much anymore, but it does happen. And here recently, shit's been happening, and I don't know why, but they're throwing cups and they're throwing like
I don't know
full beer
why.
cans.
Yeah, it's like
trying to hit us and stuff. But yeah, it's a weird thing to be associated with, man. And the fans love it, but at the same time, we also, we have our gear to take care of, other people's gear to take care of, and possibly someone else getting hurt. We try to have a good time at our shows. So, but so far, everything, most fans of ours are really good at just kind of, keeping it at a minimum.
It's
not throwing any full beers on stage.
Most people, if you're in the crowd and everybody's kind of throwing a little beer, that's fine. But I'm like, man, don't start throwing your drink. Don't throw your cup. Don't throw your bottle. I'm like stuff. I'm like, why? And it's like that's had to bring us to bring into pour only shows and things like that, where it's like, where it's on because y'all have a little bit too much to drink and can't control yourself. It's like, we want to have fun. Like, obviously, that we're there to make you forget about the outside world for that amount of time you get to have with us. Like, that's all that we care about, is just having fun. But at the same time, we don't want to have fun at the expense of other people getting hurt or anything like that.
But we do like slinging beer. And I mean, a lot of people see it nowadays, and I guess they're like, oh, well, that's like $20 a beer you're wasting right there, man. Like, what the hell? You're pissing away $100 worth of beer. And I was like, yeah, well,
made for a hell of a video.
Yeah, it's fun, man. Right, like when you're in it and you see it happening and you're looking up and there's just, it's like it's raining inside almost, and people are freaking jumping up and down and going crazy. Yeah. It's a wild thing to see, man. And it, it's something that, at least back when I went to these big Texas country like rock festivals, you would see it all the time. Like there'd LJT, be like people like Randy Rogers Band or William Clark Green, Whiskey Myers would come out, and people in the crowds would just be slinging beers everywhere, shotgunning beers, chugging beers, like just getting drunk, man, and getting rowdy and
having fun, just like getting out there going crazy. But it's like, it's fun. I know it's like we're going to be doing other stuff this year. We're getting to go back to some places that we've been. I don't know if we can talk about it. Yeah, exactly. But we're going to go back to some places that we've been before and play again, next year. And it's going to be hopefully some of those rowdy, environments of just, those good, those times of just good fun, drinking, just having fun at a concert. It's not about doing anything crazy. It's just about having a good time. Right. And so, I'm just looking forward, always to those shows and things like that. And, that's what we look forward to every show, is just every show. We want everybody to have as much fun as they can have,
But it was that night at the Blue Light. That's
definitely
that was the origin story of the beer toss.
That was the origin for sure. Yeah. And then, like you said, it just kind of elevated.
But I mean, I guess you could say we're the ones who kind of made it our own, but I mean, I don't think we were the ones to invent it or anything.
Yeah, like definitely the first beer shower wasn't at our concert.
But it's definitely well known that that's a thing.
Yeah, it's definitely associated for sure. And it's not. I mean, we posted on our own TikTok being like, "What's the difference between a shower beer and a beer shower?" It's just things like that. It's a part of kind of our identity and our concert. But, like always, sometimes some things get out of hand, but we try and keep it under the reins, and just have a good time. That's like, like I said, that's the most important thing, having a fun time.
I'm sure it plays well on the Coe Wetzel tour too, because I remember 2019, Andy, you were at that show with him back before Coe utterly blew up to where he's at now.
We got to go as a band to go see Coe in 2019 at place in Odessa. What was it called?
Oh, I mean, I've seen him at
it was the one in
Rock and
Odessa.
Rodeo, La Hacienda.
No, the other place. It was in 2019. When we went there as a band from the old shop we used to practice at.
I have no idea.
I don't know. But in 2019, we got to see Coe live, basically as the original band. It was on our rehearsal night. He was coming into town to play. So instead of rehearsing, we all went as a band and watched Coe. And it's crazy now that, 5 years later, we're not totally different.
There was like a few hundred people in Virginia Beach in 2019. And then I saw him last year, and there were 6,000 at Red Hat Amphitheater in Raleigh. And I'm just like, dude, I was like, it was rowdy as hell at Virginia Beach. Nothing will ever beat that show in terms of rowdiness, but it still got pretty wild at Red Hat. But it's just like, it's been a massive blow up just in a few short years.
Yeah, his growth has been awesome to see, man.
Oh, yeah. But I know that you mentioned like LJT. We've seen some talking about things getting rowdy. We've seen some wild videos on Twitter from LJT. That was just something that Andy and I, when we first started this podcast 5 or 6 years ago, when we were in our mid-20s, we were like, we want to go to that. Now at 30, we're like, I don't know. I think I'll just watch the Twitter videos.
You'd probably be okay going to it now, man. Back in the day, things ain't like they used to, man. Things ain't like they used to be, back then for sure. Like you said, you see Coe playing at LJT in like 2012, and there's just beer raining down from the sky and all sorts of crazy shit going on. But that was back in the day. Now they kind of have like this pit thing where the whole pit is a VIP area. So there's kind of, I don't know. It's just not as it's not as crazy as it looks as it used to be, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But
it seems like a lot of things go that way.
We played it last year for our second time. The first year we played it, there was like a tornado warning and like heavy rain, so we really didn't get to play it. Our set got cut to like 45 minutes, but this year we went and played it, and we got an hour set, so it was fun.
Yeah,
but it wasn't anything like you saw in those videos.
Yeah, probably not.
We tried. We did our best.
Yeah. I know that one thing that Andy and I were talking about yesterday, we wanted to ask you guys about. We saw that you guys played the Grand Ole Opry. Like, that had to have been like, how was that experience going through the artist entrance and then like being able to stand in the circle? Like, just how did that come about?
It was crazy, man. You get invited to the Grand Ole Opry, like, so they just hit us up and invited us and said, "Hey, we'd like y'all to come play on this date, and we can get it all set up." And so we said, okay, and couldn't believe it because we're just, we're some no-name band from, we no matter how big we get, I still, don't think any of this is real half the time. But like when that came to us, I was like, man, this is absolute madness. Cause I remember we have like a meeting every year where we talk about our goals. And I think like one of my 10-year goals was play the Grand Ole Opry, like just to throw it in there. And then it happened and you're like, holy shit, man. So it was great. And it was one of those where, we talked about playing in front of like 40,000 people.
Yeah.
I wasn't a fucking ounce as nervous for that as I was for walking out playing the Grand Ole Opry. Yeah. And I think it's just because one of those places where when inside you just feel the history in the building and the respect and the people that played there, and like you're walking on sacred ground basically.
Okay.
And when you step into that circle is when you really feel it. And to go out there and a lot of people from where we're from were at that show, including like my family and all of our families. And we got to do that little behind the scenes video and meet everybody there. And everyone was so nice to us and got, kind. And it was just all around great, man. It's one of those things. It's like when you watch your child being born or something, it's like one of those things you can only describe if you do it. But all I can tell you is we were really honored to play there. They said we could come back anytime. As long as we give them a heads up.
Yeah.
So it was really cool, man.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. Like that's one of those things that me as a like massive country music fan, like seeing the Grand Ole Opry and touring it and everything, it was just awesome from a fan perspective. But I couldn't imagine, getting to do what you guys did. So that's awesome. Y'all got to do that. Did they ever say anything about like, hey, you might have to edit some song lyrics depending on which ones you pick?
Oh yeah, well we already figured that. I mean, we're no strangers to playing on live TV. You can only say certain words.
Right.
Certain words are no. So we picked our two clean ones, which once you start really looking at your songs, I was like, man, we actually have a lot more clean songs than I thought we did. Like Ode to Bourbon and No Vacancy, I was like, man, those don't have any cuss words in them, and they're like, nah, I mean like, but that's it,
Yeah.
So. But it was cool. The other thing that was weird is, me and my guys, we all have similar music tastes, but we also have very different music tastes. Like my drummer and my bass player and my guitarist, they're very like heavy metal, classic rock, type dudes. Me and my drummer are really kind of the only ones who are big country buffs.
Right.
Like my drummer's a big 90s country guy, and me, I'm a big Texas country guy, and I'm also a very big like singer-songwriter guy. Like I like Gregory Alan Iscoff and Ryan Adams and Ryan Bingham and people like
Ryan.
that.
Ryan Adams actually got he's from Jacksonville, North Carolina. He got his start. There used to be a little bar called the Comment Lounge, and then there was one called the Brewery that was on Hillsborough Street, right by NC State. That they don't exist anymore. Like everything in America, it's been corporatized and it's a college apartment complex. But it used to be a cool little bar back in the day, and that's one of the places he got his start before he kind of became a big time star.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, I learned about Ryan Adams like going into high school. I was in a fraternity while I was there, and I mean we weren't like one you see in the movies. More of just like a bunch of guys who really like playing music and hanging out and drinking beer. Yeah, and I learned about some really cool music from them, man. A lot of bluegrass and old singer songwriter types and Ryan Adams was a good one. I learned a couple of songs of his on the guitar. That I'd play around the campfire. But
his band,
cool. I didn't know that though.
His band, Whiskey Town.
Whiskey Town.
That was when he was
great.
Yeah, they're fantastic. But
hell yeah, man. I'd love to see him sometime.
Oh, I would too. Do you guys have any other questions before we go to? So we normally end the show when we have an artist on with like a 3-question lightning round, one from each of us. So do you guys have any other before we do that?
By the way, like if you want to go a little long, it's fine. I mean, we're not doing anything. We're on days off. We're hanging out. So,
okay, yeah. I mean, like I know you had a couple more.
I got to ask the lame music podcast question.
No,
is Close Encounters just about aliens, or is there more to it?
Oh yeah, we had a big debate about this, and I admitted I was wrong on a later episode.
We were talking about that.
We can literally go through any of those questions you have about the songs. I mean, I wrote I know the lyrics and wrote them and shit. Yeah. But Close Encounters, I had a single bedroom apartment in Midland for a while, and I was working out in the field, so I really didn't spend too much time at home. I basically just needed a place to crash on the weekends and go to sleep and wake up every day. But we would, on my time off, especially like during COVID, I would have him over and like invite some friends sometimes, and we would try to write songs because we had just gotten off No Vacancy. No Vacancy was blowing up. Music was doing good, So I was trying to get this new album written, or at least get started, get the ball rolling on it. So one night I had him, our old drummer at the time, and then 2 of my buddies. One of them was my best friend who I've been friends with for like 18 years now. And I remember I was like, all right, what are we going to write about today? And we were going around the room and, drummer would be like, let's write about, time or something like that. I'm like, no, dumb idea. Next idea. And I got to my friend and he was like, what about you, man? He's like, I don't know what you mean. And I'm like, you got like a crazy story or something, like any kind of weird topic, interesting topic? He was like, well, it's like my granddad in Michigan said that him and his girlfriend did a bunch of were in the woods one time and they got abducted by aliens. And but he was also on shrooms, but they said that they got probed and they woke up like the next day in a field.
And they were naked.
And they didn't know what happened.
They were like, we haven't been abducted by aliens.
That's a badass song. And I'm also a big Blink-182 fan. So I like the song Aliens Don't Exist. And I wanted to write a song about aliens just because, we're from West Texas and sometimes weird shit happens out there. We started writing it that night. And I didn't want to write a really cheesy alien song where it was really obvious what I was talking about. I kind of wanted to just tell a story of like an old man going and checking something out, like he sees lights off in the distance and it's probably some of those fucking kids that have been messing with him. And he's going to go over there and tell them what's what. And then when he gets there, he sees a big light and he doesn't remember what happened after that, but he's kind of sore in the morning in his rear or something like that. And that's kind of the story.
And he's like, maybe if they come back, I don't want to see it.
And I kind of tried to tie that in with, the Southern mentality of, oh, well, God's the only thing you got to worry about being out there. There ain't nothing, don't fill your mind with nothing else. There ain't no other possibilities. What you see,
Mm-hmm.
Kind of one of those things where, they'll call you crazy. So just keep on doing what you're doing. And that's kind of what I wanted to get out of it. And people all the time are like, man, that song's about God, or that song's about you don't believe in Christ. And I'm like, brother, I promise you it's not about that. It's just a couple of guys goofing off, having fun, writing a song, But I think it turned out to be a really cool song. It's one of my favorites that I'm proud of writing it, just because I took a concept and I took a story that wasn't mine, and I tried to get in that person's shoes and try to give I hope that doesn't take away any of the magic or the mysteriousness.
I know, like, shout out to Kyle. Like, Kyle got the top, like, what that song was about. Like, not the backstory, obviously, but like the song being about aliens. He got that right away. I was like, did not hear it at first, and I was willing to argue with him to the hilt. And then I listened to it again after he brought it to my attention. I texted him. I said, I want you to know I'm wrong. You're right.
That's how your point of view is something I've seen on TikTok before.
Well,
like people tagging, they're like, obviously this song's about aliens, or obviously this song isn't about aliens, and then everybody's arguing in the comments about what it's about, and I'm just like,
it's actually how I found your podcast. Was I was listening to the review of one of our records that y'all did, and I was like sitting there listening to y'all like go each song and like try to explain what it was about, and like the whole time, like on some of them I was like, yeah, that's exactly what it's about, and then on some of them, like, what the fuck are y'all talking about? I was like, how did y'all get that?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, maybe. I guess you can say that.
You like, if you squint and turn your head and just maybe.
So two things.
But then, like, sometimes I think one of y'all would say something and be like, well, I thought it was about this. I'm like, no, he's right. Like, he got it right. You're wrong.
So two things.
It's cool, man. It's why music is subjective, I guess.
Yeah. Well, no, I love getting to hear everybody's like differing opinions on what songs are about. And because like I think it's beautiful for someone to have a completely different interpretation of the song that I've never seen or thought of, in the music that we write. Like, and even like, just to hear that myself, I'm like, I think it's cool that you can take away something completely different that wasn't there, but I think is also still applicable to the song. It's like, that may not be the original intent, but then I can hear that and go, well, hey, as a part of that song, like there's validity to that. Or sometimes we might say, well, no, there's not any validity.
I think a good song is much like a good book, like if you can read it and it keeps you invested the entire time, and you can see it all in your head and you can feel what's going on, then it doesn't really matter like how it sounds or what the lyrics are. I think it's, if it means something to you, then there's something in it.
And that's something that you, like, lyrically you did really well on that record, because like here, like Andy said, I'm going to be music podcast nerd for a minute, but it's like on Close Encounters, and I'm going to probably butcher the lyrics, but it's like at the very beginning of the song when it's like company of Rolex shows 3:15, like just that detail of not just like looking at a watch, like the company of Rolex, like I can see that in my head. An older man who's retired, he got a Rolex, like you're filling in the gaps for me on the story.
That imagery, I love. That's something I love.
Yeah, the only reason I threw in that line was because like growing up, like I thought about like there were so many people, like when I was in the oil industry and stuff, working in an office, we have so many retirement parties, and every retirement party was like they get him a gold watch, and I was like, how do I say this guy's retired without actually saying he's retired? And I'm like, oh, company Rolex.
I don't money. Yeah.
It's cool, man, how that shit just kind of comes to you. I get creative with it, how you use your words.
Yeah.
Well, last thing I'll say on Close Encounters, it's funny that you said you're a big Blink-182 fan, because I believe in last year Travis Barker actually came back to Blink-182 after his small excursion on looking for aliens. He left the band temporarily about 5 years ago to go Tom aliens.
Yeah, Tom DeLonge came back.
Yeah.
Oh, not Travis Barker. And the other thing is, I did frame the text message from Logan telling me I was right about that song.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got a kick out of that. And I did tell him, I said, you were right, I was wrong, and I'll announce it on the next podcast just so you don't. Oh, he only said it in text message.
Now he's admitted it. All right, it's out there.
Yeah, it's out there. It's on 2 different episodes now on the internet. So
The internet is forever.
yes, it is.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, Travis Barker, we actually got to meet him. It was
Yeah.
pretty
Oh,
cool.
really?
Oh
The
yeah,
other day,
at their Fort Worth show.
They
at
came and
Dickies
played
Arena.
in Dallas, and he invited us out to a show, and
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that was wild.
Cool. Yeah.
That was wild. Like they was like brought up. They're like, "Hey, would you like to go to that?" And I was like, "Yeah, that sounds cool." And then like a few months later, they were like, "Hey, are you like clear for that date? Like they have tickets ready." And I was like, "Oh wait, they were serious about that? Like that
Yeah.
wasn't a joke? Like I thought that was a joke." And yeah, no, we had to go and watch the show, and it was awesome. And you know, Travis was a super cool, chill dude. I mean, like going into his green room, you know, beforehand, he was just like zen, just like vibing.
Yeah, just
and
sitting
he was
there
just
drumming.
just getting ready for the show. And it was cool. Like, cause you know, even as artists, you know, we all have our own ways that we get ready for shows and things like that. And to kind of get to peek behind the curtain to a musician that we've looked up to for, you know, God knows how long, you know, in their music career. And you get to kind of get that peek behind the
Yeah,
curtain.
like
and
watching Tom
we get to,
Brady throw
like,
the football.
you know, it's kind of like you get to see things of like similarities and things like that to be like, wow, he has his family there. Like we'll have our family at shows, like wife and kids. And, you know, he had his wife and kid there and, you know, other family. It was so awesome to see like, no, man, like he's a father and a husband and who loves his family and loves what he does musically live. And to kind of just get to see that little peek behind the curtain, I think it was super cool. Like that, he was like, "Man, you want anything to drink from the fridge? Just health drinks, like everywhere." It's like all these cool, old, like cold pressed juices, and it's like I don't know what that one is, and you know, but it was like, you know, it's like it's super cool that it's just like, you know, like another guy who's in this, you know, crazy thing is just at the same time, you know, there's levels to everything, but still someone who's very down to earth and like, you know, is normal to an extent of just
Anyways, what's the fucking lightning question?
Yeah, we can get
He'll go off on a
sidetracked,
tangent
yeah.
for like
Don't get
ever.
me talking to a signpost. I'll tell them they're wrong. All right.
You gotta keep him.
Yeah, you gotta keep me on track. Put the blinders on.
Right. All right. So we close out every show when we have an artist on with a lightning round. It's 3 questions, one from each of us. Both of you answer. Kyle, you go first.
All right. My question is, if you could meet one person from any stage in history, who would it be? Dead or alive?
Anybody?
Anybody. You can have a conversation with them, lunch, etc.
Probably Waylon Jennings.
Okay.
Like that pick.
For some reason, I'm just thinking Eric Clapton. I don't know why. Like for some reason, I just want to like talk to him and hear of like just how he thinks and like approaches things. I think just having a conversation would be eye-opening to how he thinks and operates. Because it's like I don't understand how he does anything on the guitar. He does like, and so it's like for you to have someone that opposite of the spectrum where I can't reproduce that. Like, I don't know how you came up with, you know, what you wrote. And for some, Eric Clapton, I don't know why. That's just for some reason, that's the one in my head right now I'd want to talk to.
Derek Clapton dead?
No, he said dead or alive, Cusso.
Is Eric Clapton?
No, Eric Clapton's alive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You can still get him, brother.
I still might have the chance. All right.
Yeah, that one's still available. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't think you did.
I'm finding out every day people are alive and aren't alive. So it's like, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, and you can't trust Twitter because Betty White died like 10 times in the last 5 years. So. All right, Andy.
Best fast food chicken.
We had to lean back in the chair
Chicken
to think about
Express.
that.
Actually, Popeyes. I'll take my answer back.
Okay.
Man, I'd probably say, I can't eat fried chicken anymore.
Okay, talk about
but
what if you could eat gluten.
It'd probably be Popeyes as well. I'd fucking love Popeyes. The spicy chicken
Oh, yeah.
with the bone in.
Why? What's your I'm curious what y'all's are.
I just recently discovered Chicken Express. I've only been twice, but it was pretty good.
It's fucking
Yeah.
good.
Mine, like the normal North Carolina answer would be Bojangles, but it's not Bojangles. It's actually even more narrow than that. It's Hardee's fried chicken. And like so regionally here, there's like 12 Hardee's in the country that still does it, but it's like in our hometown, they still do it. It's like they sell boxes of fried chicken at our Hardee's and it's fantastic. So that would probably be my answer.
Okay, I've never heard of that.
We ain't
before.
got none in
Yeah,
Texas.
they don't have that at the Hardee's where I'm from.
Yeah.
Where does the Carl's Jr.'s Hardee's divide?
Carl's Jr. is more southwest, I think.
Southwest?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
I think back in Midland, we got a Carl's Jr. We don't have a Hardee's.
Yeah, Oklahoma, we have Hardee's.
Yeah. I think in Texas, it's all Carl's Jr.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
Right.
It's weird how that's
Dude,
the
I
same
live in
company, but they're
Southwest
different.
Oklahoma. That's like got to be the freaking fast food capital of the world.
Right.
All I fucking eat when I live there. So I gotta.
Yeah. Oh man.
All right. So last one. Van jams. What's each of your top 3 go-to things when you're traveling?
Oh, like what do I have to have?
Yeah. Yeah.
Headphones.
Yeah.
Some like easily slip on and off shoes. And probably like a hoodie.
Yeah. I'd say like probably hoodie, AirPods, and either my Steam Deck or my laptop.
Nice.
Got that Steam Deck OLED?
PS5.
Yeah, I got the
shit.
Steam Deck OLED. I'm back and forth with whether I should have gone with the like I got like the terabyte version that has like the glossy screen or like non-gloss screen. And apparently people said the 500 gig version was better and I should have just replaced it with the better one. I don't know, man. It's just what I got.
You're speaking IT guy.
Yeah, I did IT before music full time, so that's what I retired from. But yeah, no, don't get me started on any of that. We'll keep going all night long.
Don't do it.
Okay, well, guys, we appreciate you coming on the show.
I mean, thanks for having us.
Yeah, man, for sure.
That's cool.
New song Friday the 13th, September 13th. Happy Face is coming out. This should drop before that. So,
All right, hey, don't be scared. The song ain't gonna haunt you unless you listen to it 100 times in the first night. But like, that's up to you if you want to do it. You know, if you want to be haunted forever.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you, man.
yes, sir. Appreciate it.
Take it easy, y'all.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
All right.
This
Later.
episode of Country and Cold Cans. We'll see you next time.